Hello, online learners. Welcome to class. Today, I'll be walking you through the National Examinations Council, which is also referred to as Basic Education Certificate Examination, BECE for short. And I'm looking at the Basic Science and Technology aspect, which is also shortened as BST. So for your information, this part of the exam body is the Nigerian national or the local exams you write externally. And we are here to also coach you in the intrigues and in the techniques used to solve or attempt these past questions. I will be alternating between Cambridge Lower Secondary Checkpoint and the Nigerian NECO-BECE at intervals. So having said that, we will move straight to the questions and answers, but I want you to be familiar with the fact that these two exam bodies are very critical. They carry the same weight. So the same energy you put into practice for Cambridge Lower Secondary Checkpoint is the same energy or even more you should put for the NECO-BECE, so that at the end of the day, you will stand out with outstanding performances in both exam bodies and any other external exams you will be sitting for. All right, having said that, Mr. Alan is willing to take you through the journey of past questions review in NECO-BECE. So I hope you have your writing material beside you for you to take important notes, and for some explanations I'll be giving in between why some answers are chosen and why others are not chosen. Please take note of those in your note for future reference during your study. So the first question before us, of course, BST is Basic Science and Technology. It has four components actually. We have the Basic Science component, we have the Basic Tech component, we have the PHE component, and we have the Computer Studies component. But I am taking you the Basic Science component, which is more biology or biologically related. So the first question says the vitamin that aids good vision is dash. The vitamin that aids good vision or that enables us to see clearly and properly is known as A, vitamin A, B, vitamin C, C, vitamin D, D, vitamin E, and option E, vitamin K. So what's the right answer? Note it in your biology notes. So are you processing it right now? What could be the answer to this question? The vitamin that aids good vision is called dash. All right, have you noted down your answer? If you have, let's verify. So the answer here is actually vitamin A, because from scientific facts, it has been established that vitamin A is a vitamin that is rich in nutrients that enables or aids a very good eyesight or vision in humans and other animals. Vitamin C, vitamin D, E, and K all have their own separate functions. Let's verify the answer. So the correct answer is option A, vitamin A. So you can study more on the features or the characteristics of vitamin A and the particular functions it carries. But one of the major functions is to aid good vision. Okay, so the next question before us, number 2, soil pollution involves the following processes except one. Now, always take note of questions that comes with except. It means every other options in that array or list of options is correct, but one is incorrect. So you're expected to look for the incorrect option or the odd one out. So take note of the word except. Soil pollution involves the following processes except A, accumulation of non-biodegradable materials, alteration of the soil chemical composition, that is the chemical content or nutrients in the soil. Then deposition of solid waste, option C, recycling of biodegradable materials, option D, toxification of soil by chemicals. So what's the correct option to this question? Can you pen it down in your biology notes? So the correct answer here is option D, recycling of biodegradable materials is not a feature of soil pollution, but the other options, option A, B, C, and E, are all effects of soil pollution. So let's confirm the answer. So like I said, option D is the correct answer. It's recycling of biodegradable materials. Soil pollution does not recycle materials that are biodegradable. Materials that are biodegradable are materials that can be converted into the soil through decomposition. So when microorganisms or decomposers act on these substances, they are broken down into tiny particles forming part of the soil. So we refer to them as biodegradable materials, from the word bio meaning life. degradable means breaking down. Then we will say non-biodegradable materials. Those are materials that cannot be broken down by the action of microorganisms or microbes or decomposers. Example, plastics, they don't decompose. They can only wear out over time. Nylon doesn't decompose. Metal doesn't decompose but can wear out through rusting and so on and so forth. So let's look at question 3. Question 3 says, which of the following features enable birds to fly? Which of the following features enable birds to fly? The scientific name for birds is aves, A-V-E-S. That's all the bird species of the world fall under the class aves. So option A says cilia, option B says fins, option C flagella, option D tentacles, option E wings. So what's the correct answer there? I'm waiting for your response. Put it down in your biology notes. I hope you went for option E, wings, because only birds possess wings with feathers that makes them fly from one part to another. Then the other options for quick explanation, cilia is actually a locomotive organ used by protozoans. Example, paramecium uses cilia to move from one place to another. Then fins is possessed mostly by fishes. They possess fins that makes them to move from one point to another. Then flagella is possessed by sometimes euglena or chlamydomonas. These are also examples of protozoans that are found in water bodies. Then tentacles, of course, some other organisms possess tentacles like the octopus. It possesses tentacles. So the beating of the tentacles on the surface of water makes it to move from one point to another. And most octopus have 8 tentacles. So for this question, the correct answer is wings. Only birds possess these features or characteristics. So the correct answer is wings. Then we'll now move to question 4. So question 4 says, which of the following state or state of matter has variable volume? The word variable means different or difference in volume. So option A says gas only, option B liquid and gas, option C liquid and solid, option D liquid only, option E solid only. So this can be tackled with your knowledge on the different states of matter. Of course, matter exists in 4 states, from solids to liquids, from liquids to gases, and from gases to plasma. So which of these options best describe the state of matter with variable volume? Are you penning that down in your biology note already as you process the question and the answer? I give you a moment to do that before I unveil the answer. All right, so I hope what you put down is option B. The answer is liquid and gas, and not option A, C, D, or E. And the reason why is that gases actually have, no definite volume and no definite shape. They move at a random motion in their containers. Then liquid actually has a definite volume, so it will rather take the shape of its container, and that depends on the type of container. If it's a bottle, if it's a bowl, flat, wide, broad, or narrow. So the answer is liquid and gases. These are the 2 states of matter that don't have, that have variable volume when it comes to dealing with everyday life. All right, so let's review the answer from the next slide. So the answer is B, liquid and gas. So it takes us to question 5. Water plus carbon dioxide plus chlorophyll results to sugar plus oxygen gas. The process involved in the above chemical reaction is dash. So what does the chemical reaction above represent? Is it A, digestion, B, excretion, C, photosynthesis, D, respiration, or E, transpiration? I guess you've treated this in your grade 7 or grade 8, or your year 7 or 8 as the case may be. So what's the correct answer? Have you penned that down in your biology notes? Okay, the answer is actually photosynthesis, option C, because the process where green plants manufacture their own food in the presence of sunlight trapped in chlorophyll by using inorganic substances like water and carbon dioxide is what we call photosynthesis. So that process will lead to the formation of sugar, or what we call glucose, and oxygen gas will be released. So the inorganic materials plant uses is water plus carbon dioxide. Then the sunlight is trapped by the chlorophyll present in the leaves of plants. And the particular organelle where the chlorophyll is situated is called the chloroplast. So all this reaction leads to photosynthesis. Let's reveal the answer. So the answer is option C, photosynthesis. Photo means light, synthesis means combining or bringing together two or more substances to form a whole. So monomers come together to form polymers. All right, having said that, question 6. The following factors affect the rate of evaporation except one. Remember, I told you the question except means every other options there supports the answer, but only one is the odd one out. So what is the odd one out? Is it humidity, nature of liquid, pressure, temperature, or turbidity? I'm waiting for you to pen down your biology notes as we reveal the answer shortly. Okay, so the answer here is E, turbidity. Humidity is a factor that is responsible for evaporation to occur. Nature of liquid is a liquid having a wide surface area or a flat surface area for easy movement to the atmosphere. Is the pressure in the water moving very fast or slow that will allow for evaporation. Now, of course, temperature is a major determinant. So the correct answer here is E, turbidity. It doesn't affect the rate of evaporation. So, like I said, the correct answer is option E, turbidity. Turbidity has to do with when the substance is full of water and it becomes turbid. Now, next question. The difference between organisms of the same group is called dash. A, chromosomes. B, gene. C, genetics. D, heredity. E, variation. What's the difference that exists between organisms of the same group called or referred to? The answer is option E, variation. From the word variation, it comes from the root word vary, which means different from one another. So those features or characteristics that are seen, which makes one organism different from the other, even though they belong to the same group from observation, is referred to as variation. Other options are other aspects of biology that does not relate to variation. So the option E is the correct answer, which is variation. Now, question 8 says the following are government policies to control droughts and desertification except one. So all these policies have been enacted by the government of countries or of nations to eradicate or control drought, which means dryness, and desertification, which means the felling down of economic trees to the point where the forest becomes scanty and less occupied by trees that green the area and that also helps to regulate the oxygen supply. So when trees begin to decline in a massive number, we call it desertification, meaning you are trying to convert a forest into a desert gradually by falling down those economic trees for either domestic or commercial purposes. So we have a national agricultural policy, we have national conservation strategy, national energy policy, national policy on environment, national policy on education. So study it critically and pick out the correct option that describes this question. Okay, are you doing that already? So if you look at it, national agricultural policy is there to guide agricultural practices. So it's correct for this. It's one of the policies. National conservation strategy, of course, to conserve both plants and animal species or even wildlife, species. Then national energy policy, the use of wood for burning and for cooking and for other industrial purposes, or burning things generally in the environment using different forms of energy. So it's one of the policies government have to regulate drought and desertification. The national policy on environment, of course, as the name implies, is a policy that governs people to play a very vital role in conserving the nature and the environment around us. But the national policy on education is the odd one out because education does not relate to drought and desertification. So the correct answer is option E, national policy on education. The rest are the government policies that governs drought and desertification. Question 9. The layer of the atmosphere closest to the earth is the dash. What is the name of the layer of the atmosphere that's closest to the surface of the earth? Because there are different strata in the universe. So we have A, ionosphere, B, mesosphere, C, stratosphere, D, thermosphere, E, troposphere. So what's the correct answer? Do you have your biology notes to pen the answer down? Note the answer and we're going to review the rest together. Okay. So ionosphere is actually the layer of the universe that is characterized by the presence of positive and negatively charged ions, and that is found in higher or upper space. Now, of course, they are the results, that causes lightning and thunder when they collide with each other, causing great sparks and sound, which is called lightning and thunder. The mesosphere is in between other strata or layers. Then we have the stratosphere. Then we have the thermosphere. That's the part of the earth that have the highest amount of heat. Then we have the troposphere. So what is the correct answer? The correct answer is option E, troposphere. So that's the layer that is closest to the earth. Then others are strategized or stratified after the troposphere, going up onto the biosphere and so on, then to the ionosphere in upper space. Okay. Question 10 says, taking of drug for its medically intended purpose or use in appropriate amount and frequency is known as dash. So option A says drug absorption, B, drug abuse, C, drug addiction, D, drug use, then E, we have self-medication. So what is the correct answer? Is it drug absorption, drug abuse, drug addiction, drug use, self-medication? The answer is D, drug use. Other options are incorrect. Okay, so that's the correct answer. 11 says a good method of disposing refuse. Another word for refuse is garbage or waste. Is by throwing them dash. Is it A, inside pits to form compost? B, into gutters when it is raining? Into nearby bushes? Option D, into uncompleted buildings? Option E, on the streets at night? So what's the correct answer to this question? A good method of disposing refuse is by throwing them into uncompleted buildings? No. On the streets at night? That's a no-no. Inside pits to form compost? That is a yes, so that they are buried underground and it forms part of the soil and becomes an organic manure. So the answer is option A, inside pits to form compost. Other methods there that are outlined are not good to dispose waste or refuse. Okay, question 12 says, the effects of soil pollution include the following except one. So the following are the effects caused by soil pollution, but one of them is out of it or is the odd one out. We have A, degradation of the environment, B, increase in nutritional value of the soil, then C, loss of livelihood to farmers, D, loss of soil organisms, E, poor plant yield. So what's the correct answer here, my learners? Is option B, increase in nutritional value of the soil is not part of soil pollution, because soil pollution is a negative impact and not a positive impact, such as B, increase in nutritional value of the soil. But all other options here are the negative impact or effect of soil pollution. So take note of that and pen it down your biology notes. So the answer is option B, as you can see here, to confirm. Question 13 says, which of the following features is found in aquatic plants? There are plants that live in water. So is it air spaces in leaves, B, deep roots, C, thick cuticles, D, well-developed branches, E, well-developed stems? What's the correct answer? The answer is staring right at you or right at your face. Is option A, air spaces in leaves. And the reason why they have air spaces in leaves is because they require adequate buoyancy so that they can float on the surface of water. But deep root is not a characteristic of aquatic plant, because they don't even require deep roots in the first place, since they're already embedded or fixed in water. So they just have branching fibrous root that picks nutrients and water from around the water body itself, and so on and so forth. Then thick cuticles, they don't really require that. It's mostly plant that lives in deserts that requires these cuticles to store excess water for future use and so on. They don't need so much branches. They don't need so much big stems or vascular systems, as the case may be. So the answer is option A, air spaces in leaves. Okay, question 14 says the increase in size of an organism due to increase in the number of its cells is known as dash. A, development, B, growth, C, metamorphosis, D, transformation, E, transition. So what's the answer, my scholar, or my scholars, as the case may be? The answer is Growth, option B, because growth is defined as the irreversible increase in the size of an organism at a given time and at a given place. So an organism continues to grow from one stage to another. So the process is called growth under the characteristics of living things summarized in the acronym Mr. Niger card. So the G in Mr. Niger card stands for growth. So the answer is option B, growth. Okay, moving on. Question 15 says, which of the following food is a source of vitamin K? Vitamin K. We have different types of vitamins: vitamin A, vitamin B, vitamin C, vitamin D, vitamin E. There's no vitamin F. We move to vitamin K and so on and so forth. Then what option would you go for? Is it option A, carrot? Option B, citrus fruits? Option C, egg yolk? Option D, green vegetables? Option E, yeast. What is your answer? The answer is option D, green vegetables, because vegetables contains more of vitamin K compared to other vitamins that are found in trace amounts or micro amounts. We call them micronutrients. Carrots, citrus fruits, egg yolk, yeast possess different vitamin content, but you find more of vitamin K in green vegetables such as spinach, cucumber, and the rest of them. So green vegetables is the answer. Now let's move to question 16. Scientists that study habitats are called dash. They study habitats. Habitat is highlighted there. The habitat, of course, refers to the natural dwelling place of an organism. So scientists who study habitats, what are they called? Are they called biologists, botanists, ecologists, pharmacists, or zoologists? What's the answer? They are called ecologists. Option C. Is that what you noted down your biology notes? So option C is the correct answer if you did that. So let's go to question 17. The unit of heredity is called dash. What is the unit or the basic unit of heredity in humans or other living organisms? A, chromosome. B, gamete. C, gene. D, homozygous. E, zygote. What's the answer? Are you processing information right now? The answer is option C, gene. So gene is actually the basic unit of heredity. Of course, heredity is the branch of biology that deals with the study of the transmission of traits or characteristics from parents to their young ones or progeny or offspring from one generation to another. So gene is the basic unit because in the gene are contained the chromosomes, and the chromosomes are found right inside the nucleus of the organism. So it carries the genetic makeup of that organism, which we call the genome structure. So gene here is the answer to go for, option C. Then question 18 says, human activities that cause desertification include the following except one. So which is the odd one out that does not cause desertification? That's the technique behind this question. A is bush burning. Does it cause desertification? Of course, yes. When you burn bushes and trees and the woodlands, everything goes, leaving behind, ash and other debris. Then we have B, continuous cropping. Deforestation, that's when you cut down economic trees for either domestic purposes or commercial purposes. Then you have overgrazing. Then you have shifting cultivation. So what's the answer? The answer is option E, shifting cultivation. All the rest from option A to D causes desertification through their engagement on a daily basis. But shifting cultivation is when a farmer decides to farm on a plot of land for a particular year. Then the next year, he allows that land to rest and move to another virgin land where he can propagate his or her crops. Then after that, he can revisit that land again, maybe after a period of 1 year, 2 years, to allow it revitalize itself and gain more nutrients for growth. Which of the following is not a natural cause of flooding? Take note, natural cause is highlighted or bold. Flooding is also bold. So that's where the question lies. Which of the following is not a natural cause? Coastal flooding, that's flooding that happens around the coast or the coastal part of water bodies and coastal regions. Then high rainfall, option B. Population growth, option C. Snow melt, option D. Then soil properties for option A. Of course, I believe you've penned down the correct answer in your biology notes. And what is the answer? Option C is the correct answer. Population growth, it doesn't have any direct impact on the causes of flooding in the environment. But coastal flooding is a major culprit. High rainfall is another culprit. When there's heavy downpour, the drainages can no longer take the volume of water and it begins to overflow and flows through other parts of the environment. It can even flow through people's houses and sweep away properties and sometimes affects lives as well. Then snow melt, of course, in polar region, the melting snow is causing a lot of flooding as the organisms there begin to lose their habitats since they dwell in the polar region. Then soil properties, it depends on how porous or non-porous a soil is. It could be sandy soil, loamy soil, or clay soil. Of course, these soils have their different properties and they allow for different porosity. So the properties of the soil also can determine whether it can hold water or cannot retain water and the water flows through. So option C is the correct answer. C. Now population growth. Have you taken note of that in your biology notes? Now let's move to the next question. Question 20 says, which of the following crop or plant is used in producing alcohol in the breweries? Another word for alcohol is beer, the edible or consumable beer by humans. So option A says barley, option B says cabbage, option C carrot, option D lettuce, option E spinach. So which of these is used in producing alcohol or beer in breweries? Breweries is an industry where these crops or plants are processed from their raw state into a consumable alcohol or beer state. So the answer is staring right at you. Is it cabbage, carrot, lettuce, spinach, or barley? Correct answer is A, barley. Barley is actually a member of the grass family, and of course we have the likes of barley, wheat, and so on. They are used to produce beer in breweries. So option A is the correct answer, barley. Now let's go to the concluding parts. I believe you've enjoyed this segment. Questions have been drawn from different aspects of basic science and technology. And I actually took the biology aspect of BST, which is basic science and technology, to review questions from treated topics in your year 7, in your year 8, and coming up to year 9. And of course, being an exam class, you are about sitting your final external exams, and we wish you the very best out there. But you need to pause these videos at intervals to continue to study and master these questions. And sometimes, guess what? Some of these questions are repeated for different years. And of course, for NECO-BECE, we use the Laswell Evergreen Solutions written by the author named Dagunduro, and you can get it online. You can buy the hard copy. I extracted these questions from that particular past questions and answers for our review. So I hope you had time studying more, and you can do more of this by going to study the Laswell Evergreen Solutions that has past questions from different years up to the most recent reviewed edition. So see you in my next segment.